In this video, I'm going to be comparing the Spirit franchise to the Departed franchise. Now, I did not know there was more than one Departed movie until I looked this up just recently, but as it turns out, the movie Departed, directed by Martin Scorsese, is actually a remake of a movie called Internal Affairs, which comes from Hong Kong, so it's not as well known here in the US, which is why it makes sense that I did not realize at all that the movie Departed from Martin Scorsese is based on another film, but turns out it actually is. I'm comparing these two franchises because when I compared Spirit to Megamind Spirit 1, when I compared Departed to Stanford Prison Experiment, Departed 1, so now I'm going to compare those two. When you look at highest score for each franchise, the movie Internal Affairs has a 94%. The first Spirit movie has a 69%. When you look at lowest scores, Spirit Untamed has a 48%. The movie Departed has a 91%. That's actually the lowest score. Then we look at average. Departed has an average of 92. Spirit only has an average of 58. Then we look at gap between lowest and highest score. In the case of Spirited, you got a gap of 21. With Departed, you have a gap of only 3%. Departed has won every round so far, so it's going to be winning this debate no matter what. I would say that Departed is one of Martin Scorsese's better films. I think it's a bit more accessible than some of his other movies. It's not quite as long as some of his other ones, like Irishman or Goodfellas. It is more plot based, really, than character based. It's structured more like a traditional narrative, which makes it easier to get into compared to Martin Scorsese's other films. Now, what's interesting, I would say, about Scorsese as a director is he tends to focus on crime. He's done a few religious movies as well, and those ones don't interest me because what I've heard about them makes it seem like Martin Scorsese has a very different view about Christianity than I do. He's done a few different movies. He's done one family movie. Most of his movies are not very family friendly at all. He's done one thriller, that being Shutter Island. That movie's a bit more my thing, so it's definitely one of my favorite Scorsese films. It's one that I actually would be totally fine with rewatching. Whereas when I think about Killers of the Flower Moon or Wolf of Wall Street, for example, those movies do what they're doing very effectively, but that inherently makes them not ones that I'm in a rush to rewatch. I like that with the movie Departed, it's this tight cat and mouse chase between someone who's really with the mob but is undercover at the police, and someone who's really with the police but is undercover with the mob. We see them both trying to figure out each other's identities. The story here is definitely compelling. You have characters that you're invested in. The visuals are quite good. Every technical aspect of this movie, I would say, is quite good. And Mark Wahlberg is quite memorable as this really abrasive character that's just very much in your face. The character is very hard edged. But then when you see his reaction to another cop being killed, it just says so much. And I think Departed is a great example of how to subvert expectations right, because it ends in a way that's not what you would expect, but it's not unsatisfying. Instead makes you go, yeah, the filmmakers are smarter than the audience, and so they deliver something more satisfying than what we would have come up with. I've seen the first Spirit movie from DreamWorks Animation. I have not seen Spirit Untamed. I enjoy Spirit. It's this simple story about a horse who has a very strong will that refuses to let anyone hold him in captivity. The songs in Bryan Adams, I think, are quite memorable. Of course, this isn't the deepest movie out there. A lot of stuff is communicated just through visuals or the music. I think it's quite effective. I like the story here. I mean, does it get a bit repetitive with our horse more than once finding himself in these situations where people are trying to hold him somewhere, but Spirit's not having any of it? He's gonna get out of there. Sure, that's true, but I still definitely enjoy this one. It's not my favorite out of DreamWorks filmography, but I definitely enjoy it. When it comes to which franchise I personally prefer, it's an interesting question because I enjoy both Spirit as well as Departed. I mean, I think that on a filmmaking level, Departed is a bit stronger than Spirited. Not throwing any shade against Spirited, but Departed is a fantastic movie. Admittedly, Spirit is the one that I'm more likely to rewatch. I mean, Departed isn't my thing quite as much. I'm not, generally speaking, not as much into crime, but I think The Departed is really well done. In this case, because Spirit is not my favorite out of the DreamWorks films, I think it's a good one. I'm gonna actually go with Departed. So in that case, it's one every round, so it will be moving on, whereas Spirit will not. I know that the sequel, Spirit Untamed, is based on a Netflix show. I haven't actually seen it. I really enjoyed getting to see Killers of the Flower Moon in theaters last year. That was a great experience because that movie is one that sticks with you in your gut. It's a long, somber, and heavy movie that you do not forget because it's showing you these tragic real life events. The way that Leonardo DiCaprio's character seems to care about his wife in certain senses while also being so complicit in basically torturing her and murdering her family, that sticks with you, that contradiction in his character. But I'll wrap things up for this video.